Equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are different fractions that have the same value. Example 1. Marcus has determined that 1/3 of his patient's body is covered in burns. Identify an equivalent fraction to 1/3 to determine the number of sections of the body that was affected. So we're going to indicate this by looking at these two things here. So if we were to indicate 1/3 on this top one, right, if there are, right, there's 3 here, we're going to go ahead and just color in this one because it's indicating 1/3, right? It's not going to be the most always in the lines, but you can see the point here. So that's 1/3. Now on the bottom, how many do we have? So we have 9. So if we also need to indicate the same thing, right, we would color 3 of these, right, because then that gets us to the same as the top, as 1/3. So if we were to show the top, right, we can show 1 out of 3, right, and then that is equal to the same on the bottom, because, right, it's the same that's colored over the total. So that's 3 out of, right, 9, right? These are two fractions that mean the same thing, as we can see here and here, right? But what's colored in out of the total. So if that is true, we can see how 1/3, we can get to 3/9 if we just go ahead and multiply the top and the bottom by 3. So 1 times 3, if we just multiply what's on the top, right, we get 3. And we multiply what's on the bottom, 3 times 3, well, that's, right, 9. So we can see how we just multiplied it by 3/3, which is essentially just multiplying it by 1, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, right? We get to a different fraction that has a different, like different numbers, but it has the same value. It means the same thing. So that's an equivalent fraction. So let's go ahead and look at the next example. So example 2, Nestor has a 3rd degree burns on 1/4 of his body. What are 2 equivalent fractions to 1/4? So I'm going to show you how we can do this, right? We can go ahead and just multiply this 1/4 by 2/2, right? We'll just pick the number, but you just have to make sure it's on the top and the bottom. So 1 times 2, right? If we multiply what's on the top, and you multiply what's on the bottom, and what do we get? 1 times 2, that's 2. 4 times 2, that's 8. So that's an equivalent fraction. But we need to find 2 equivalent fractions. So we can just go ahead and pick the next number up, which is 3/3. So 1 times 3, right? Well, that would be equal to 3. 4 times 3, well, that's 12. So we have 2 8s and 3 12s, which are the same thing as 1/4. So these are equivalent fractions to each other.